Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the worst books of 2022 and I am so excited and frightened and I am ready to make some enemies because that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to be making some enemies because on this list there are 10 books and there are definitely a few that are some people's favorites. So I'm ready to get into this. But before we do, this is going to be a roast. Like, it's going to be a roast. Before evil roasting books comes out, I just want to say it's my opinion. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. There are plenty of books that I love that other people hate, like, a lot. So my opinion does not really mean anything, let's be honest. So that's out of the way. Let's get into my worst books of 2022. Coming in at number 10, we have Hide by Kiersten White. I feel like this one comes as no surprise. Like, I feel like this one is either going to be on like most disappointing or most hated or just this book exists. This is a thing that happened in 2022. I feel like with this book, Kiersten White like went to her publishers and was like, guys, I want to do adult horror. And they're like, okay, but like, what's your premise? And she goes, man pig, abandoned amusement park and man pig. And the publishers were like, hell yeah, that's awesome. And then it turned out it was not awesome because man pig is not scary. Man pig is something that belongs in a satiric horror book. Like, I felt like I was reading satire. Like, she took horror ideas, man pig, lots of gore, we're gonna do adult hide and seek for a shitload of money, and put young adult characters into those roles pretending to be adults. Like, I don't know, it was not scary, it was not plotted out well, and I feel like a big thing with horror books, you want atmosphere, and the atmosphere was shit in this book. It was not good. It's supposed to take place in an amusement park, a rundown amusement park, but you don't describe any of that. You don't give detailed, like, there's supposed to be like a maze in there. There's all sorts of stuff in there that's supposed to be amazing, and you hide on a roof most of the book and listen to man pig snorting around the park. So I feel like there was a huge missed opportunity with that. I feel like she did not place the setting well. Man pig, not scary. Obviously, if I faced a man pig in real life, it would be a different story. But man pig in book, not scary. Not scary at all. And then the ending made no sense. Like, the ending was weird. The ending was weird, made no sense, over it. It was a weird, wild book. Coming in at number 9 is Killers of a Certain Age. This one I feel like is gonna make some enemies, but hear me out, or just skip ahead to the next one. Killers of a Certain Age. We were promised older, retired assassins, badass females, like crazy shit happening, people trying to kill them, action-packed. I was expecting some like, and it was supposed to be hilarious, I was expecting some like Janet Ivanovich kind of hilarity and cozy assassination mystery kind of thing going on. I didn't get any of that. I did not think a single thing in this book was funny. The best part of the book was the first chapter when they were in a flashback and they were on their first mission on a plane. That was awesome. I would have read a whole book about their missions from the past. She knew how to write that really well. And then it just went, like, it just got so boring. And then what really tipped the scales for me was, I feel like I'm more angry about this than most people were, and I feel like I'm reading into it too much, but I don't care. We're there already. We're past that point of coming back. We're past that. So towards the end of the book, we were put in a flashback where our main character, because you're following 4 women, but you're mostly following 1 woman. We were in a flashback, and for the whole book, our main character is like badass. She's probably like the coolest one. She don't need no man. She's lived her life. She's awesome. Probably the best part of the book was her. Everything else was boring as crap. And we go in a flashback, and suddenly you find out she was in love with a guy, but they didn't end up together because they're both assassins. You know, assassin life is hard, so couldn't end up together. And when they get into like a really sticky situation, they call him. And I'm like, excuse me, you four are super strong women, and you're calling a man who has had no other point in this book. You're like, you don't know this guy. You don't know this guy at all, except for that one flashback, and you're calling him to come in and help save the day. And he didn't even do anything. Like you call him to come save the day, but he doesn't do anything. A little bit at the end. But like, you've got the 4 badass assassin women, and you've got like their tech support girl, who's also a woman. But apparently you just can't do it, so you have to call a man. That pissed me off. I feel like it wasn't even that big of a deal, but I have such a sore spot about that, because it's just so, even like the littlest things, it's like, oh, you can't do it because you're a woman. You really need like a man to help you. And that's just how it felt. That's how it felt. It's how it came across to me. So I did not like that. That really like ticked me off, and I wish he wasn't even part of the book at all. I wish he wasn't part of the book. Moving on. Coming in at number 8, we have The Family Game. I was torn about putting this one higher, because this one had one of my least favorite things in it, and it made me literally want to throw up. And I should have DNF'd this book, but then it wouldn't have been on this list, because I don't put DNFs on worst books of 2022. DNFs are a separate video altogether. Oh, this book is following our main character, who is going to get married to a wealthy man, and he is part of this big family, and the family wants to meet her, and they love games, guys. They're like cool, and they love games. And I thought this was gonna go in the way of Ready or Not. Ready or Not is a really good horror movie, and I thought we were gonna get like a thriller book version of that, because they're talking about how much they love games, The games weren't even like a huge part of the book. Like, there was one with Krampus that was actually kind of horrifying and really good. That was like the best written part of the book. That happens in like the middle of the book. And then there's the Christmas game at the end. That's literally it. And they're both very fast moving. So most of the book though is her having sexual thoughts about her future father-in-law. I don't annotate books very often. I annotated this book, and I used little red tabs, because it's a red flag, of her having any type of sexual thoughts or feelings or even just like emotions at her future father-in-law. There were a lot of red tabs. And I was not here for that. That was disgusting. That was so disgusting, and it made me physically want to throw up while I was reading it. And I remember telling my husband, I was like, why? I feel like the book would have been so much better without it. Like, it wasn't even necessary. Like, why are you meeting your father-in-law and going, ooh, he's so powerful. Ooh, he's nothing like his son. Ooh, he's got all the things that I like. And ooh, he's got this look about him. Why would you do that? It's so yucky. And then I hated the ending too. So besides that, but it was mostly, you know, those really gross thoughts about her father-in-law that really put me off this book. Next book coming at number 7 is All the Tides of Fate. Now, this one literally only gets like put on this list because it was the second book in a duology, and it was one of the worst endings to a duology I've ever read. Ever. None of the characters were really likable. Most of them were incredibly whiny, but like, it was fine. I was like, okay, we're gonna make it through this duology. And then we get to the end, and this is gonna be spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers, move on to number 6. We get to the end, and they take the sweetest, most cinnamon roll, most beautiful character, person who had the most growth in the whole book, and had the best relationship in the whole book. And he sacrifices himself so that, I don't even remember, to be honest. I think it was stupid. I think they needed to sacrifice somebody. Oh, someone needed to sacrifice something so that they got their powers back. I don't remember. Someone had to sacrifice something for some reason. And He did. He did. Instead of the whiny ass main character who got us into all this trouble, the cinnamon roll boy who she didn't like because he was too nice, basically, he gave up. All he wanted in life was to, like, do something and be, like, remembered. And he gave up his life and no one would remember him. That's how the book ended. I'm getting upset, like, literally thinking about it. They don't remember him. The book ends with them, like, thinking of a thing and they're like, oh, I feel like I'm forgetting something. That's it. They don't remember him and all the shit that he went through and did for them. Look, literally my eyes are turning a little red. My eyes are turning a little red because I'm upset. It was the worst ending ever. Not ever, but at that moment I was like, are you kidding me? Like, the one thing that would break, like, his heart is obviously what he has to give up, and he's the one who had to do it, even though he was the only really good character in this entire series. Have you lost your mind? This author legitimately lost her mind. I think it's Adeline Grace, and I think I have another book by her, and I don't know if I want to read it, because that was horrible. It was cruel. Absolutely cruel to do that at the end of the book. Because you literally spent 2 books him talking about how much he wanted to be remembered, he wanted to do something in his life, and he finally did, and then no one remembers him. Okay, I gotta move on because it's pissing me off. It's pissing me off just thinking about it. Coming in at number 6 is The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. I feel like this is a really weird one to be on this list, but it's gotta be on this list because it was an automatic 1-star when I finished it, and I legitimately was laughing most of the book. I think it's older than Chloe Brown. The Princess Trap is like a rough draft of the Chloe Brown series. It's like she wanted to put something out there and see, like, hey, is anyone gonna like this? And then dust it up, fix it up, and then make an actual good series, the Chloe Brown series, or the Brown Sister series. But oh my gosh. And I also made the mistake of listening to this on an audiobook, which did not help. But I cannot tell you how much I was cackling during this book, and not at the parts I was supposed to be laughing at. Not at this book. No. It was so... I read a lot of raunchy books. This one may have been the worst. This may have been the most raunchy, and it was disgusting. The dirty talk in it, oh my gosh. I remember listening to it and I was like, just sitting there in shock. In shock. It had the opposite effect. I feel like romance is supposed to make you feel ooey gooey and, like, you know, when you read romance books. But this was like, no, is that like the opposite effect? I feel like what romance writers want their people, like their readers, to feel is that the opposite effect. This was like best dousing of cold water ever. Like, it was disgusting. It was disgusting. And there was no chemistry between the characters either. It was just an absolute mess. If you want to read a mess of a romance novel, 100% would say read this, because you will not be disappointed with how atrociously disgusting and just over the top and just, I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking when she wrote this. I really don't know what she was thinking, because then you read the Chloe Brown's or the Brown Sister series and you're like, this is amazing, there's so much plot, and then you go back to the Princess Trap and you're like, what is this? So I feel like it's on this list not only because I was emotionally, mentally, and physically disturbed reading this book, but it was disappointing because I read the Brown Sisters first and I was like, oh, I really want to read more Talia Hibbert. Went back, read the Princess Trap, and I was like, if I had read that first, I never would have picked up another one of her books. That's how bad it was. So yeah, I feel like that's an issue. All right, we are coming to our top 5. Coming in at number 5 is All Good People Here. Okay, this is also gonna have a little bit of spoilers, so I'm sorry. But this started as a 3-star. This started as a 3-star, and the ending, the last page before the epilogue, because I think the epilogue was added after the fact, it turned into a 1. It was so bad. The ending was so bad. But this is written by one of the crime junkie people, and the writing isn't bad. Like, it really isn't. Like, I've read worse writing in books, so that was not the issue. The issue was the general lack of imagination and laziness that went into this book. And I feel like it's not intentional. I don't feel like anyone goes into writing a book being like, I don't feel like writing a book. No one does that. I mean, I hope they don't. Maybe James Patterson at this point. But it felt so lazy, unfinished. Yikes. And she basically stole all of her ideas. Like, there's one thing to be inspired by something. It's another thing to straight up copy it. And this book is literally a copy of the JonBenet Ramsey case and her, like, slight spin on, like, what she thinks probably happened. I did not need to read this. You could have just read the real case and be like, okay. And then the ending. This is where the spoilers are going to be. The ending... So the ending is, turns out her father, the girl who went missing, her father killed her and killed the mom. And the final is she's at, our main character is at his house talking to him, and she, like, figures it out. And the end is him dragging her into the basement, and that's it. What? What? So, like, you don't even know she survives. And probably not. Like, how is she gonna escape? He's already killed 2 people. He has obviously no qualm killing you. So I'm just like, is this a joke? Is this actually a joke? I was shook. And then the epilogue would have been fine, but I didn't want that epilogue. I wanted an epilogue with our characters not doing a flashback. So it ends with a flashback of him and how he killed his daughter. And so I'm like, but where's our main character? Where'd she go? Did she come out of the basement? Or did he get away? So it was just awful. It was awful. If there's a second book, I'll remove it from this list. If there's a second book. But to end with a cliffhanger like that, bizarre. And I screamed and I was like, what is this trash? I was so happy I only paid $2.99 for it, because I would have been pissed if I bought a full physical copy of this. I would have been going to Barnes & Noble asking for a refund, and I've never done that in my life. At number 4, we have The Cartographers. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know how I feel about this book. You know how I feel about this book and how it is literal, utter garbage. It is garbage. These top 4 books are just, actually top 5, are literally just garbage. And The Cartographers is the epitome of a book that makes no damn sense. It makes no sense. It is following our main character, who is a cartographer. She deals with maps, and her dad is also a cartographer, but she got disgraced, and the book picks up with her mom has already died in a fire from years ago, and her dad was just murdered, and he has this weird gas station map that she's like, why is this such a big deal? So you find out that there's, like, secrets with these maps and real locations on the maps that shouldn't be there, etc. And you basically are trying to figure out what happened to the dad, what's with these maps, and there was a group called the Cartographers that is like a secret society among their friends, and you slowly learn their stories. It sounds good, but it was executed so poorly that it is shockingly bad. Shockingly bad. I'm also going to talk about spoilers, because, like, that's the main problem with this book. First of all, they tell you everything, they don't show you anything. She's not really, like, going through and, like, discovering things. She's meeting with her dad's friends, and her dad's friends are like, this is what happened in our past. It was boring. It was really boring to read. And then you hit a point halfway through the book where it turns into a fantasy novel. And I was like, what? What happened? So it took me a second to adjust, but it turns out that there's spots on the map. On this specific map that she has, there's only, like, 2 in existence. Actually, this is the last one. It turns out this gas station map has a little point on it, and that little point doesn't exist anywhere else, but if you use that gas station map, you can get there, and it exists. But there's, like, no point to it existing because there's no people, there's no anything. It literally is just empty buildings in a town. There's nobody there. There was literally no point to it. There's literally no, keep that in mind. There's literally no point to this place existing, but they're all obsessed with it. They're all like, we need to keep it a secret. We need to keep it a secret. And it's like, why? Like, you can't even have pizza delivered there. Why would you want to be there? Why would you want to hang out there when there's literally nothing there? Just go inside one of your houses and hang out. I don't get it. So one of the guys becomes obsessed with it, and he'll kill the others for it because he wants it. It's his. He hates sharing it with everyone else. And you find out, spoilers, you find out that the mom's been alive this whole time, living alone for 15 years in this stupid little town where no one is. Are you kidding me? She chose to leave her daughter, her child, and her husband to protect this existent town. Why? That's why. There's no reason. So what if people find it? It's not like there's a pile of gold in there, and even then, you shouldn't leave your family over that. There's literally no point. I know my hands suddenly show up. No point to the end of this book. There's no point. Just give, like, the bad guy, all he wants is the town. Just give him the town. Who cares? Let him live there by himself. I don't get it. I don't get it. It makes no sense, and it makes me so angry. This is probably the book that makes me the angriest because it makes no damn sense. End of story. Coming in at number 3 is Daisy Darker. It's another one that does make me angry. This one, the Cartographers is as low as it is because I actually really did like the first half of the book. I actually did find it really interesting, but because the second half enraged me so much, it's that high, but it can't be higher than these other books that I just legitimately hated. Daisy Darker. Daisy Darker. Daisy Darker. So bad. I can't. This book was a trudge of depressing bullshit. Bullshit. That's what it was. It was just... It was so bad. It was so bad. It was supposed to be like, and then there were none thing, and I love and then there were none, so I was even more disappointed when I read it, and I was like, And then, like, the poems were okay, but sometimes you'd be reading, like, so you're following Daisy Darker, who is going to a family reunion. Her parents are divorced, they're both showing up, and then her siblings will be there, and a neighborhood friend, and then, of course, her grandmother, who she's, like, that's the only person she's close to, and then one of her sister's daughters. That is our cast of characters. We are all stuck inside of a house, and people start dying one by one. So, it sounds fantastic, but you spend half the book learning about Daisy Darker's past and feeling horrible for her because she's treated like literally a pile of shit. And then you are learning about, like, the neighborhood boy who's had a horrible life, like, so bad, abusive parents or abusive father, and it's just awful. And then Daisy Darker's whole family just sucks except for her grandmother, who is literally amazing, like, takes care of her, is fantastic. And it's just heartbreak after heartbreak, and, like, you don't really care when people die either because they all suck until the very end. Spoiler! I'm gonna talk about spoilers because this is why I hate these books. The only two good characters, the grandma and the child, were the ones killing people. Really just the grandma, but the child knew. Like, her mom died. Her grandmother died. Her aunts died. Like, what? The trauma. And, like, in reality, they're both psychopaths. Like, who can kill, like, 7 people and be like, this is fine. This is fine. That girl is going to grow up and be a serial killer. And then, of course, Daisy Darker, you know, was dead the whole time. So she does, like, the family friend and her sisters killed her, like, in an accident and dumped her body somewhere. Horrible. Horribly depressing and sad and miserable. And it was, I literally cannot describe how horrible I felt reading this book and how awful I felt afterwards. I went into the worst reading slump I've had in months after reading this book because it was so awful. The only two good characters turn out to be murderers. Even though it's like vengeful, it still didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. Nothing felt good about that. Because then you also care about the sisters and the brother because they're not horrible people, but they did horrible things. So it's just like, it was a lose. Everything was loose. Terrible. Coming in at number 2 is Darling Girl. Guys, this book was, oh my god. I feel like this was on me. But at the same time, I really wanted to, I don't like Peter Pan. Which is why I don't read Peter Pan. And I don't read retellings of Peter Pan where, like, it's good. I just don't enjoy it. So this one was pitched as main character is part of the family, like Wendy's granddaughter or whatever. And Peter Pan stuff is all real. And her daughter is Peter Pan's kid and now has gone missing. And she's like fighting this disease, like she ages rapidly or something like that. So it's just like, okay, this sounds like kind of cool. Like Peter Pan is the bad guy and we have some like weird magic going on and it sounds kind of cool. It was so bad. It's been a while since I've read this one, so like my anger has cooled a little bit compared to the other ones, but it was just a genuinely bad book. I can at least see why some people liked the other books on this list, except for this one in number 1. I cannot see people enjoying this book. I don't understand why people would enjoy this book. It is not good. It's not written well. The main character is horrible. She is horrible. Oh my gosh. And she doesn't learn. Like, she literally is such a raging jerk to people. And she never apologizes. And when she does apologize, it's kind of like, not great. It's not a great apology. But my biggest issue with this is you're not actually part of anything. So at the very end, when you finally like maybe get some action, like you're finally gonna take Peter on, no, everything happens behind the scenes and you're told he's dead and that's it. And you're like, what? But the whole book was leading up to this happening. So what happened? Neighbors have decided to do it all on, which is great. So like, what happened? Why are we just basically cut out of the story? And it was just, this one is less like anger inducing. It's more just, I feel like I wasted so much of my time. It didn't make sense. All the characters were horrible. You don't see any of the action. You're told everything. You don't actually experience anything. And it was just an absolute slog of a book. And it was just not good. It was not good. This is one of my least favorite books I've read this year. Like I said, it doesn't seem like it is, but it's because it doesn't induce as much anger. I just genuinely thought this was a really bad book. And coming in at number 1, this is gonna be a weird one because it's not one many people have read because I got it in a book box, and it took me a couple hours to read, but it took years off my life. Years, literal years off my life. And it is River of Ashes. This book came in Twisted Retreat box and it literally was so bad I deleted my subscription. Like, I literally got rid of my subscription because it was so bad. I don't trust anyone who says this is a good book. It was the worst. It probably is my least favorite book I've ever read, ever. And that includes The Secret History, which I literally almost punched a hole in the wall. I hated so much. It includes that one. This one was just genuinely a horrible book. The writing was terrible. The characters were terrible. The plot was terrible. The ending was terrible. Nothing even remotely interesting happened in this book. This book is following our main character who knows for a fact that the boy that her sister is dating is a creep. Of course, she doesn't know like the extent of it. He's literally a rapist and he sexually assaults tons of girls in this book. But he's like a high school jock, and so he like it's not even like you're in the mind of a serial killer adult kind of thing going on. Like, it's not even like a Criminal Minds kind of thing where you're like in this headspace. No, you're literally following him, and he's like, if I get caught, my dad's gonna get mad at me. He's gonna get mad at me. I'm gonna get grounded. I killed somebody, but like, he's gonna ground me. Like, that's what you're reading. That's literally what you're reading from his perspective. It was so bad. It was so bad. And it was like grotesquely explaining the sexual assault. It was, I'm not bothered by a lot. It bothered me. It was so unnecessary and like gratuitous violence. And it wasn't even like written well either, which is, I know, weird to say, but it was written so poorly on top of having a horrible like topic. And then it's just him whining. It's just him whining about like the girls and life, etc. And then our main character is like, she's not good either. Most times she's just whining about him and whining about her sister dating him. And it was just so disturbingly bad. I don't know any way else to put it. I'm not even mad about it. I'm just so in shock. I'm so in shock about how bad it was. I did not think that a book like this could get through the editing process. Like, to me, this is a book that like they submit it and they're like, no, this is not going to be published. It's not good enough. You have a ton of editing to do, and you need to tweak the plot and what you're writing about. It seems like it skipped an editor and went straight to publication. Like, they wrote it and then just published it. First draft. It was so bad, and I urge you not to read this. This is the only book on this list that I 1000% think no one should read. It's horrible, disgusting, written so poorly, and I cannot say any more horrible things about it than I already have. Like, I don't know how to get it across enough that this was literal trash. Literal trash. It was so bad. Anyway, before I go any further with that, yeah, we're gonna stop there. Those are my 10 worst books of the year. I'm really curious what you guys thought. Make sure you comment down below to let me know if you guys read any of these books, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, what you thought about them. Make sure you like the video and make sure you subscribe for more end of the year content. There's going to be best books coming out, which is much nicer, much more pleasant than this one was. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys in this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.